Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. So a few videos ago, I believe I mentioned I would probably be painting Spider-Man again, and yes, here we are, because the sketch has been sitting in my sketchbook, roughly done for 3 weeks now or so. So a lot has happened within the past several weeks, a wedding, a funeral, and now planning for vacation. So I will just gloss over that. I don't want to go into detail. It wasn't my family in particular, that's all I'm gonna say. But it was still a lot, and, you know, not somebody I did know, obviously. Yeah. Aside from that, also the wedding was fantastic, though, and I guess that's the wild part, where it's just a roller coaster of emotions in like such a short span of time. And now I'm anxious about my vacation and also excited about it, and work is making me stressed because I have a lot to finish up before I leave, sort of. Anyway, I hope the rest of you are doing alright and not as stressed and not going through too many roller coasters of emotions right now, and if so, I hope you're handling it well. For me, one of my go-tos is sometimes I'll be too stressed to draw, but sometimes I find, especially when I already had like a sketch done, this was very relaxing just painting it in. And even with a medium I don't often use and record, I found it very easy to record this. I didn't really find it too difficult. I kind of just wanted to do this whole process of video editing and doing all this just because it's all like this artistic stuff, and it just feels nice to focus on something I can control type of deal. And I mean, paint is fun where you kind of let loose also at the same time, of like the not so much control, but just allowing yourself to kind of have fun with it. I have to say, I'm really enjoying the Holbein gouache. I think I got a little too precious with it, and that's maybe what was also putting me off in using it as much as I like to. And there was like a few tips or something about reactivated gouache that might have also made me feel precious, like I constantly just had to use it out of the tube, even though I've had this palette with like the dried gouache for a while and kind of kept using it, but I guess at a small amount. So again, you know, sometimes there's it's not like I'm not faulting these artists who have like said certain stuff because they create like amazing artwork or something with the gouache. It's just sometimes certain tips will throw other people off, or beginners, right, who don't maybe quite understand, or maybe it depends on the brand, because I think they were also using Winsor & Newton, and I have but even now I have some Winsor & Newton ones, and they reactivate also wet very easily and opaquely. There's no issues with that at all. So it's one of those things where you kind of yourself really have to experiment and understand the medium at the end of the day, right? People can tell you about it, you can read as many books as you want, right? But at the end of the day, you kind of have to mull around and try it yourself. And yeah, again, Spider-Man is just a fun subject because you get to use all the primary colors, so it's again not too complicated. You don't have to go crazy mixing. You kind of just almost use the color out of the tube, and you don't even have to stress about color mixing, and that's kind of exciting, and I guess the easiest subject. So there you go, an idea if you're kind of nervous about gouache, try Spider-Man, because it won't take too many colors. Also, I really wanted to draw him holding a pizza box. I think maybe the dimensions of this are a little bit wonky. I did actually take a reference photo of myself kind of in similar pose. I think in the end I might have deleted the photo or forgot to recheck it when I was actually in the painting stage. So the hand holding the pizza box is a little scuffed. Not that the other hand is any better. Please just don't look at the hands. I think this is just the worst part of this artwork, honestly. I also, I don't know why I wasn't using the new brushes I got, maybe because the one thing about reactivating the gouache is you kind of have to like a little bit scrub, so I didn't want to use my brand new brushes and ruining them essentially, so I was kind of more, I find like the flat round brush I really most enjoy using gouache because you can anyway get like more flatter, nicer coverage, and at certain angles you can really get finer lines and details. So that's one of my like go-to brushes anyway for gouache, even for smaller details. And this other, I think it's a Da Vinci watercolor brush that I also use, plus like some sort of mixed media one that is just I think it's just a Michaels brand or something, which is fine. It's like short handled. I don't really like brushes with large handles anyway. They get heavier and I don't enjoy using them at all. I probably, maybe somehow I'm using brushes wrong, or it's because I'm left-handed, so I just hold it in a completely different way than maybe intended. Although, honestly, it's just one of those things where it's comfort, what brush feels the best for you. I would recommend also just experimenting with all your brushes to see which one feels the most right, because there's technically no brush that's like labeled in stores or anywhere that's like, oh, gouache brush, right? So it's kind of one of those things where it's more of like mixed media or watercolor brushes kind of make the most sense anyway for this particular medium. But as with all, especially watercolor brushes, just keep in mind which like will hold more water and just try and get better control, so you can get that nice, thick, more solid colors than too watery if that's not what you want, right? Now, one big struggle is always like just keeping my palette, the amount of colors I have, limited. So I only bought warm and cool primaries, mostly because budget. It cost a lot. I think it might have cost $100 to get those, plus maybe burnt sienna and white in Holbein, which I slightly regretted because I anyway ended up buying a very large Winsor & Newton white gouache. Just to get back to the actual artwork, I don't think it's very evident, but there's definitely very light sketch lines that I made for the webbing. I think originally I was gonna have them done in black possibly, but I thought it made more sense in white, and I kind of like the painterly style in the end. It looked very messy and a little bit weird when I was starting out, but I was just like, trust the process. And I also wasn't being super neat about it because it's a sketch possibly, but I think you could probably get it much more solid and much nicer, and using probably a different brush. Also, another side tangent about white gouache. I still am not entirely sure which white gouache you're supposed to use for like mixing, but for now I'm just using the Winsor & Newton permanent white because I have a big ass tube of it and it's gonna get used. Again, it's a little bit rough because this isn't my sketchbook, so ultimately I wasn't, this was more of me practicing kind of a semi-finished artwork. So it's still, in my mind, still kind of a sketch, but more of a, you know, when you're still trying to be careful, but at the same time, if you mess something up a little bit and it's not entirely as it is, it's okay because it's kind of in your sketchbook and you more intended it to be a sketch or something if you are holding kind of a sketchbook more for like practice and stuff like that. I still like treat my sketchbook more of, you know, more practice stuff than anything finished type of deal, and I just like some stuff to be more finished in it as more of a practice round because I never had the habit before of creating anything closer to finished, and it was always like roughs, and I think that's in some ways a negative. I probably could have like learned a lot of stuff faster because trying to actually learn on a canvas itself and the finished product is usually a bad idea. I feel like some of my professors always like said that, but at the same time you always thought you kind of had to like practice more on like nicer paper, which also is something you should be doing, but it's pricey, right? It's pretty expensive to be doing that. So working on practicing on decent mixed media paper, I find there's nothing really that wrong with it. It's so much nicer to be working on expensive paper and creating a finished artwork. But when you haven't really used much of the media at all, and you you're not rich to break the bank and buy tons and tons of watercolor paper, and when they're not even making it as quality as the sizing might go on that paper so quickly, it's like a toss-up, right? You don't even want to hold too much or hoard too much of that paper itself. And I realize I also haven't really created a full finished artwork in a while, so I feel like I'm itching to do that and get out of my sketchbook a little bit, because I have not actually committed. And I realized also going through my iPad, there's a Nightwing drawing I had not completely finished, so that's probably going to be like a finished artwork, because I've already even printed out the line work that I have to transfer on paper. So stay tuned for that. I might actually just release a line art video next of that Nightwing drawing, because I did a digital line art of that first to just really clean it up, and I honestly don't know if I can record anything else before my vacation, and I need to get another video out, so you might just end up with a time lapse of whatever I have of drawings I did not release at all. I might even do one of my comic page ones or something that I was fairly proud of or something, just like a I guess you could say a retro one, even though I just never posted it anywhere, so might as well. That's the great thing about Procreate, is it kind of just it saves all your process work essentially, so you can always use it for later. Tip for anybody else if they're struggling to post or something and they've like strapped for time, just go through your like Procreate library and see something you haven't posted at all. Maybe just do that if you're really strapped for time and just have like a quick video out there. I hope I'll be able to do voice recording for that. I think for my schedule, technically it's like 3 days after I come back for vacation, so we'll see. I really hope I can. But yeah, anybody else starting new with gouache? What do you think of the medium? Any preference to what you particularly enjoy to paint with it? Anything like that? For me, for the sketchbook tour I do for the sketchbook, I could probably show off, well, I will definitely be showing off all the mulling around of trying to figure out the gouache. So I'll start with like the dumbest little sketches and some random things, just testing out the medium, but it's never really the same until you kind of start working on like a full-fledged piece. So again, that's why I said practice piece. And the previous like sketchbook session I did of a bunch of Spider-Mans was also more practice one. I might just end up doing more practice pieces. I don't think I'll do Miles Morales though, just because his costume is all in black. That's the only reason. And Spider-Gwen is all in white, so that's not very exciting to do in gouache. So I'll see. I mean, technically, you can play around the colors and throw it in, but I enjoy painting them in like with inks more, and then with like accented colors with just solid inks. So I need to figure out maybe more things to do, just because my brain's a bit like too stressed to come up with original drawings, so I've been defaulting and painting actually a bunch of Genshin characters as well. Didn't record myself doing that because it was just a bunch of like sketch, and again, too much stuff piled up and I was like kind of stressed out, so I was like doing those in between to de-stress. So that was like a little bit too much of stuff piling on, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna draw Genshin characters, whatever. I even managed to shockingly draw a bunch of female characters I thought looked pretty okay. I was talking with a bunch of art friends and we were discussing, one was saying how also it was easier to draw guys, and then this other guy was, he was like, really? I have a easier time drawing females, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's always like whatever your brain kind of prefers for me, because I think originally I was better at drawing girls, and I say better with quotation marks though, because I feel like there was, I didn't focus that much on character drawing, so it was okay. It was never like that great. I think I'm much better now, but in general I am much better at drawing guys now than I am girls, or I'm a lot more satisfied anytime I draw males. There's like a few sketches that I really am happy that are females, and that's just, I feel like that's flukes, but a lot of times every time I'm drawing a male, I feel more relaxed and it's so much easier. I don't know if it's because, I believe, is it David Finch who said that just like the way like drawing angular, and I'm like, yeah, when I was drawing Wonder Woman, it was a lot, it felt relaxing and easy, but when I was trying to draw Raiden for my best friend's other birthday card, I felt very stressed. And then when I was trying to draw Sailor Venus, or not Sailor Venus, Sailor Mars, I think, I was also very stressed. I think it's because it's just like angular lines for me I enjoy more than like softer curvy lines. I don't quite enjoy curvy lines as much. I think you can kind of even notice in like a pizza box and everything, kind of like adding curves to it or something, like curves, sorry, angles or something. Like it just feels more satisfying, and I never really like the way my flowy, swirly, soft, curvy lines really end up compared to like my more angular lines turn out. And that's just like, I think, a me preference or something, and I think it's like person to person type of thing. And I'm rambling on and on about all this. I hope I didn't completely like bore anyone to death with my rambling. I think it's just everything that's happened. I'm just like hyper off coffee in the morning, just trying to get the voice recording done. But yeah, this was very enjoyable, and I hope that you also enjoyed watching this time lapse. There wasn't too much detail to mention or say about it, and I completed the line art with just acrylic ink, because then that won't move, and I think it's great accent. There's like improvements, of course. If I was gonna do like a final of this, I think I would make the black outline of Spider-Man much thicker, but I also added kind of like a white outline with some white ink or something. Yeah. So, if you've gotten this far, I really hope you enjoyed. And what do you think of the final process? Did I succeed? If you liked it, I hope you can drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos of mine.